The energy of British coinage history explodes to life today because we are diving into two of the most fascinating and unexpectedly valuable decimal coins ever struck for circulation. These are not gold sovereigns, not ancient hammered pennies, but modern everyday change that quietly transformed the United Kingdom's monetary system. If you think 10-pence coins are ordinary, think again. Today we uncover the top two rare and most valuable Elizabeth II new 10-pence coins and why collectors are chasing them harder than ever. The 1970 Elizabeth II new 10-pence coin. The story begins in a moment of national transformation. In the late 1960s, the United Kingdom prepared for one of the most significant monetary changes in its history: decimalization. For centuries, British currency had operated under the complex system of pounds, shillings, and pence. But on February 15, 1971, known as Decimal Day, the system officially changed to 100 new pence to the pound. To prepare the public, the Royal Mint began introducing decimal coins in advance, and among them was the 1970 new 10-pence coin. The 1970 new 10-pence coin was not released for general circulation in the traditional sense. Instead, it was issued primarily within pre-decimalization proof and mint sets to familiarize the public with the upcoming change. This fact alone makes it immediately more intriguing than later circulating dates. It represents a bridge between two monetary eras, the last breath of the old system and the first step into the modern decimal age. Visually, the 1970 new 10-pence coin carries a bold and unmistakable design. On the obverse is the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Arnold Machin. This effigy, often referred to as the Machin portrait, is one of the most iconic representations of the Queen. Her youthful profile faces right, wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. Surrounding the portrait is the Latin inscription Elizabeth II DG Reg FD, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. The reverse design is equally powerful. Designed by Christopher Ironside, it features a crowned lion passant guardant, a heraldic lion walking with one paw raised and head facing forward. The lion is adapted from the royal arms and symbolizes strength, authority, and continuity of monarchy. Beneath the lion appears the denomination new pence, reflecting the transitional terminology used before the simplified 10 pence wording was adopted in 1982. The coin itself was struck in copper nickel, weighing 11.31 grams and measuring 28.5 millimeters in diameter. Notably, this was the same size and weight as the pre-decimal florin, equivalent to 2 shillings. That was deliberate. The government wanted the new 10-pence coin to circulate alongside the florin before decimalization, easing public adaptation. This makes the 1970 issue especially symbolic. It physically mirrors the old system while representing the new one. Because the 1970 new 10 pence was not widely released into general circulation, its mintage is dramatically lower than later dates. Estimates suggest approximately 750,000 were struck for proof and mint sets. Compared to later years that saw tens of millions minted, this relatively small figure makes 1970 the key early date of the series. Now let's talk about value. In circulated condition, a 1970 new 10-pence coin may fetch modest but respectable premiums, especially if it escaped from a mint set and entered circulation. However, the real strength lies in high-grade examples. Brilliant uncirculated coins removed from original sets can command significantly higher prices, particularly if they remain free of contact marks and toning. Proof versions are where collectors truly focus their attention. Deep cameo proofs with strong contrast between frosted devices and mirrored fields are especially desirable. Depending on grade and condition, proof examples can range from moderate premiums into substantial three-figure territory. Coins graded by professional services in top-tier proof grades often see competitive bidding at auction. Error coins from 1970 are extremely scarce but highly sought after. Because these coins were produced in controlled mint set environments, fewer striking errors escaped compared to mass circulation issues. However, collectors have identified occasional off-center strikes, die cracks, and minor planchet flaws. Any verified mint error from this year instantly attracts heightened interest due to the already limited mintage. Collector demand for the 1970 new 10 pence continues to grow for several reasons. First, it represents the dawn of decimal coinage. Second, it is the first date of the 10-pence decimal series. Third, its limited production ensures long-term scarcity compared to mass-circulated coins of the mid-1970s. As more collectors assemble complete decimal date runs, the 1970 becomes a necessary and sometimes challenging acquisition. What makes this coin especially fascinating is its transitional identity. It is both old and new. It matches the florin in size and weight, yet it carries the bold declaration of new pence. It carries a young portrait of Elizabeth II at a time when Britain itself was redefining its economic identity. For many collectors, this historical crossroads gives the coin emotional as well as monetary value. The 1975 Elizabeth II new 10-pence coin. Now we move forward 5 years into the fully decimalized United Kingdom. By 1975, the public had adapted to the new currency system. The florin had disappeared, and the 10-pence coin stood firmly as part of everyday life. At first glance, the 1975 Elizabeth II new 10-pence coin appears far more common than its 1970 predecessor. But within this year lies surprising rarity and collector intrigue. The obverse still features Arnold Mackin's portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. By 1975, this effigy had become familiar across British coinage. The Queen's youthful image, framed by the Latin legend, projects continuity and stability during a decade marked by economic turbulence, inflation, and political change in Britain. The reverse retains Christopher Ironside's crown lion design with the inscription New Pence. This wording would continue until 1982, when it was replaced with 10 pence to reflect that the transition period was complete. The lion remains bold and commanding, filling the flan with heraldic presence. The standard 1975 10-pence coin was struck for circulation in large numbers, with mintages exceeding 100 million pieces. In circulated grades, these coins are extremely common and typically worth face value. However, rarity emerges in specific formats and conditions. The true key to the 1975 issue lies in high-grade uncirculated examples and proof strikes. Brilliant uncirculated coins preserved in original mint packaging can command premiums, especially in top condition with full mint luster and no spotting. Copper-nickel coins of this era are notorious for developing surface marks and dulling over time, so pristine examples are increasingly harder to find. Proof coins from 1975, struck for annual proof sets, display sharp detail and mirror-like surfaces. High-grade proof examples graded PR69 or PR70 by professional grading services can command impressive prices compared to face value. The difference between an average proof and a top-graded specimen can be dramatic in today's collector market. Error varieties add another layer of excitement. Collectors have identified off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die rotation errors within 1975 10-pence coins. While rare, authenticated examples can sell for substantial premiums depending on severity and eye appeal. A dramatic off-center strike with visible date and portrait can multiply the coin's value many times over. Another subtle factor influencing value is survival rate. Although millions were minted, far fewer remain in high-grade condition today. Heavy circulation, bag marks, and everyday use reduce the number of premium examples. As modern collectors increasingly focus on condition rarity rather than mintage alone, top-tier 1975 coins gain greater attention. There is also growing nostalgia-driven interest. Collectors who grew up during the 1970s now seek coins from their childhood. The 1975 10-pence coin represents a fully decimal Britain, a time of cultural and economic transition. This generational collecting trend supports steady demand. Market values for 1975 coins vary widely. Circulated examples remain nominal. Uncirculated pieces can reach moderate premiums. High-grade certified coins and rare mint errors command the strongest prices, particularly when sold through major auction platforms where competitive bidding drives final results higher. When comparing the 1970 and 1975 new 10-pence coins, we see two very different types of rarity. The 1970 is scarce due to limited mintage and transitional significance. The 1975 becomes valuable primarily through condition rarity and error varieties. One represents the birth of decimal coinage. The other reflects its establishment and widespread use. Both coins share the powerful Machin portrait and the heraldic crowned lion, symbols of continuity during change. Both were struck in copper-nickel with identical specifications inherited from the florin, and both now hold firm positions in serious decimal collections. For collectors building a complete Elizabeth II decimal 10-pence set, these two dates stand out for different reasons. The 1970 is essential and inherently scarce. The 1975 challenges collectors to locate superb high-grade survivors or dramatic errors. Together, they illustrate how even modern base metal coins can carry layers of history, artistry, and hidden value. In the end, these are more than 10-pence coins. They are metallic milestones marking Britain's leap into a decimal future. They carry the portrait of a monarch whose reign spanned monumental societal shifts. They embody both everyday commerce and collector fascination. And perhaps most importantly, they remind us that rarity does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers from within ordinary change, waiting for a sharp-eyed collector to recognize its significance.